Welcome to Downnotable Content. My name is SJ.
And I'm Alex. We share the last name Herschel and are two down-to-earth guys bringing you notable content from the world of gaming.
Today we will discuss nuzlockes, which are a way to make Pokemon games more challenging.
Let's get right into it.
Herschel. 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 How are you, my guy?
I'm good. Just vibing. How are you?
Doing pretty well. I didn't want to go to work today for reasons I'll explain shortly.
That's the hook right there.
It was still a productive day. I got a lot done at work.
There you go. We'd love to hear it. Welcome to Downnotable Content. We are so happy to have you all here with us today. And to start, we're going to talk about some emails that we got in between now and our last episode.
We had a lot of feedback.
We did.
It was great. It was cool. Shout out to Lily for sending us an email. Also to Noah. He also sent us an email. They both talked about Retro Bowl. Both of them enjoy that game, so It was cool to hear from our audience what they think of
that mobile game that we thought was nothing. That I honestly thought was the most boring part of that episode.
I'd never even heard about it.
So there we go. Not only did we get emails, we got something that was very, very exciting to get. We got an email from Spotify telling us that someone had sent what do they call it? Like a reaction to a Q&A that Spotify had put on one of our episodes, asking our listeners what they thought about our episode. And we got a response from Big Bear. Now, we don't know who Big Bear is, but we want to tell you what they said. They said, and I quote, "Great episode, period."
That's all. That was it.
That was it.
But honestly, I have no idea who Big Bear is, but whoever you are, thank you for listening, and we appreciate your support.
It was hype.
Yeah. Great episode, period. Enough said. Special thanks to Taylor, one of our loyal listeners. And as you can see, our boring brown backdrop is a little less boring now, thanks to Taylor. So Taylor bought the Divine Edition, I believe that's what it's called, of Fire Emblem Engage, and he graciously donated the poster for our setup, and I was just blown away because it's like $100 to get the Divine Edition, and he just gave it to us. So thank you so much. It's looking a little more lively around here now.
You're sick, Taylor. We appreciate you. And speaking of Fire Emblem Engage, we're going to go in to our discussion for today's episode. Now, SJ, there's a little bit of a story as to how you received Fire Emblem Engage. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
I know I didn't put that on our agenda here, but I did want to talk about that. Quick rant. GameStop, they had a pre-order bonus. You get some tarot cards with it if you pre-order it. So I was like, okay, sweet. And so I pre-ordered through GameStop, knowing that with pre-orders like that, I wasn't expecting to get it on release day, because usually, it might come like a day or two later because of shipping and whatnot, which is fine because I've been pretty busy anyway. So I was like, yeah, no big deal. So I pre-ordered it, and it didn't come on release day. Obviously, it didn't come the day after. It didn't come the day after. I checked up on shipping, and it was stuck in another state. And I was so disappointed because this week, Monday and Tuesday, I believe, I would have had a good few hours after work to play it. And I was super excited for it, but I couldn't. But it came on Wednesday. I played it for about an hour. Anyway, long story short, GameStop it kind of screwed me over a little bit. Also, the tarot cards, they weren't even in it. I didn't tell you this.
You didn't get the tarot cards?
No, I didn't get the tarot cards. So absolutely no benefit to pre-ordering.
Oh, shoot.
I'm like livid. And it might be one of those things where it's like while supplies last, right? And maybe I didn't pre-order soon enough. But I am planning on reaching out to GameStop just to be like, hey, I pre-ordered it. Where's my tarot cards? You know, I'm not mad about the shipping because snow and everything. I totally get that. But at least give me the freaking tarot cards. That's the whole reason why I pre-ordered.
Dude, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I just feel robbed.
And I just want to say, as we were talking about Taylor's gracious donation, I decided to check out what else was in the Divine Edition in case there are still Divine Editions out for sale. And if you want to get it, in addition to this beautiful poster that you can also put on your own brown wall, you will also get the game, a steelbook case for the game.
Did you get the game?
I know, right? You get some art cards featuring some characters from the game, and then an art book with sketch art from the creation of the game. So
yeah,
seems
that
like,
book looks really cool.
Seems like a pretty dang good deal for what you're getting.
Honestly, it's not a terrible price.
Right? I mean,
it's really not.
Adding $40 for an art book, some cards, this poster, and a steelbook for the case. We've talked about this, just us.
Yeah.
But not on the podcast. Steelbooks.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's something satisfying about it. And it doesn't really make a lot of sense because it's not like you're going to be touching it, interacting with it all the time. It's just going to sit on your shelf.
A steelbook is a special edition case where instead of just plastic, it's just a bit more structured. And usually they have a different special design for them. Yeah. So it really isn't much. But steelbooks?
Yeah. There's just something about it.
If you go way back to the beginning of the podcast, you'll remember that we discussed a Nintendo Direct. And one of those games that we talked about for a long time in that episode
Farming simulators?
Gosh dang it. A lot of farming simulators.
You'd have to specify
exactly
between like the 10 or 20 that were announced.
One of them came out and is like apparently like really, really good.
Okay, is that the Stella something?
Harvestella.
Harvestella? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that one was actually supposed to be good.
Who would have known? But we talked about Octopath Traveler 2. Which is a game that I'm looking forward to play one day. I don't know when, but one day I will play that game, and I will play the sequel too. And I can't remember. You sent me a deal, and I can't remember if it was just a steelbook edition of the original game or if it was a pre-order bonus for ordering the second game. But either way, the only additional thing that you got from pre-ordering, there wasn't like an increase in price, but what you got was a steelbook case. And I'm a very impulsive buyer. That's a really
good pre-order bonus.
It totally is.
Yeah.
Totally is. Especially if they don't jack up the price for it.
There's no added cost. You just pre-order it.
But I'm a very impulsive buyer, and it's gotten to the point where anytime SJ sends me a sale, even if it's for something that I'm not going to buy, I just tell him that he's killing my wallet. He's the reason that I'm poor. He's not the reason. But yeah, do you remember that? That good old steelbook? And that steelbook, I think that was a pre-order bonus. It looked so good.
Yeah. You still haven't even played the first one yet, right?
Nope.
That's on your list for this year?
I'm going to try.
With the lineup we've got coming up, I guess we'll see.
Just I've noticed ever since my new semester started, I've gone back to not really having any time, or not nearly as much time to actually play games.
Right.
Since the last time that we recorded, I haven't played anything except what we're going to talk about today. But I've literally put maybe an hour into gaming, and that's it. That's all that I've had time for. And so also considering the fact that Zelda's coming out and that I have to finish Xenoblade and Eastward.
Honestly, Xenoblade and Zelda alone, with your being in college and working and everything, that could take up your whole year.
I know. And Eastward, Ori, And I don't know. Would I play Octopath Traveler or would I play Tunic first? Probably Octopath, just because
Really? I thought you'd want to play Tunic
not because
more
of
than
levels of
Octopath.
hype,
Okay.
but one thing that I'm trying to do with my gaming now is make sure I'm getting a balance of different genres. And Tunic is heavily inspired by Zelda, right? So if I'm already going to be playing Zelda, even though it's two-dimensional in Tunic, like playing an RPG is going like a turn-based RPG is going to be
more variety.
A bit more variety to what else I have this year. So we'll see.
Okay. So speaking of Fire Emblem Engage, to go back on track, I played it for the first time last night. Last night I had a little bit of free time from like 8:30, maybe a little later. I basically had like an hour to play, and I watched the intro cutscenes, and my first impression of just the whole thing was, this looks so clean. I mean, I thought Fire Emblem Three Houses looked good, you know? Like, it was a little rough around the edges in terms of graphics, but I thought it looked good. But this is like, the presentation is different. I don't know that I'd necessarily say that it's objectively better, because it's a vastly different style when you compare it to Three Houses. It's a lot more colorful, poppy, you know, more defined outlines on characters, which I think is personally a good thing, because it utilizes the Switch's limited power very well. But anyway, it throws you right into the combat. Like, you can tell that it's focused on combat and it wants you to understand it. And it's a really good mixture of kind of getting to know the characters a little bit with some like short cutscenes, and then bam, like you're right into the action. It's teaching you how to play the game. So I've enjoyed it so far, but honestly, all I did was like the training battle, and then I had to save and quit. But I just want to say, I decided to start it on hard mode on Fire Emblem, which is usually not easy. Fire Emblem is already, it's typically not a very easy game, but like Three Houses wasn't very difficult. So like after I played through Three Houses on normal mode, I almost wish that I had done it on hard mode. And so in this game you have the ability to turn down the difficulty like mid-game if you need to. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to start on hard mode. I'm going to commit to hard mode, but you know, if it gets to the point where I just can't do it, I always have the backup of turning it down and going back to normal. So I'm playing on hard mode and also on the classic setting, which means if a character falls in battle, that character is dead. Actually dead. Gone. And that is how Fire Emblem has been for years and years and years until Three Houses. Three Houses was the first time they eased up on that a little bit and actually gave you the option to not have permadeath of characters.
They didn't give you that option in Awakening?
Maybe they did. No, I think you're right. I think they did.
I feel like they started with Awakening because that was like when it blew up over here.
You're right. On the 3DS, they started that.
But still, for how many games are in the series, there's a lot more that force you into permadeath
the majority
in comparison
are like
to
that.
those that give you the option. So.
And it makes sense to have that option because it's going to appeal to more people that aren't as experienced with it. And then, you know, the crazy diehard fans can be satisfied by having their teammates killed.
And so in your training battle, did you lose anybody?
Actually... So it starts out right, and then it's like you, and then this like big like knight, you know, he's very powerful, and then you have like two kids, and you're telling the kids to like get to safety. You're like, hurry, get to safety, and then there's like these monsters around you, and then your objective is to like kill the monsters as quickly as possible so that they can't take down the kids. One of the kids, the little boy, he got to 1 HP before I saved him. It was so close, I freaked out. I don't know what would have happened, because that was like the very first battle of the game. I don't know if they would have actually... I don't know if he has plot armor at the beginning of the game. But maybe not. Who knows?
Oh man, imagine like...
But I got so scared, I was like, I'm going to have to restart this game already.
Imagine they die and then the sisters just... Or is it a sister? Is it 2 boys? Or is
They're
it
twins.
So they're just like, bruh.
And I know.
And you're just like, oh,
It's
dang.
so bad.
I'm sorry. Are they up here?
Oh, he
This guy?
almost died. Yeah.
And that's the twin?
That's the twin. Yeah.
Okay.
But he got to HP 1.
Oh, he's a magic user.
Not
huh?
good. Yep. Yep. He deals
He's
some pretty
weak.
good damage.
He's physically weak.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
it's been fun. I am very excited to playing it.
That's great.
Friday night, tomorrow night, I'm gonna have a lot of time.
That's
So-
great. That's great. And you know what that means? Permadeath is, I think it's a trait that we see a lot in games. Right, like you see it in
Do we
Fire
though?
Emblem. I guess not a lot, but it's not uncommon, right? Like I feel like a lot of RPGs nowadays have permadeath features. Am I totally off?
I can't
Either
think
way,
of any aside from like Fire Emblem and Fire Emblem.
well,
Anyway,
besides Fire Emblem, some people like to put themselves through that pain willingly, and they choose to play games as if they had permadeath functions. And one of those games, oddly enough, is Pokemon. A children's game. And people decide to say, you know what? Let's kill our Pokemon.
I want to torture myself. Should we explain the rules? How it works?
Yeah, so this is called a nuzlocke. I think we already mentioned that in the intro, but a nuzlocke is a specific way that you play a Pokemon game that is built to provide more of a challenge, a little bit of emotional torture while you're at it, and just kind of change up the gameplay. We've talked about Pokemon a lot on the podcast, and I've mentioned my desire for the games to continue to change and to grow and to be a little bit different, because I am reaching a point where Pokemon is becoming very, very stale. But
Well, they've gotten easier too.
oh yeah,
So it's like
they've
we're
gotten
going up,
brutally easily.
becoming better gamers, and then the games are just getting easier.
Yeah, right. So the gap between difficulty and gamer is just widening as
Yep.
time goes on.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
Exactly.
And so, I guess we'll start with the basics. In a Nuzlocke, the main rule is if a Pokemon faints, they don't actually faint. They're dead. And you either have to release them or you have to put them into your PC storage box and not use them for the rest of your playthrough.
Like dedicate a couple of your PC boxes as graveyards, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is painful. I'd rather just release them.
Really? I
Yeah.
put them in the box.
I guess it's good to see all the a
I
tally
like-
of the casualties.
I
at the end of
like
the
to
run.
look back and be like, I'll share why I like keeping them in the box
yeah.
later as we're talking about something else. But besides the Pokemon dying, what else are some common rules from Nuzlocks?
So every route, each area that you encounter, so like Route 1, in a Pokemon game, you can only catch the very first Pokemon that you encounter in the grass or whatever. And anything else that you come across after that, you can't catch it. Even if you accidentally kill the first one
Then you just
or anything.
don't get to catch
Then you don't get to catch a
for
Pokemon for
area.
that route. And when you do catch a Pokemon, you have to name it. You absolutely have to name it. And the point of that is that it makes you more emotionally attached to the Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So when it dies, you're going to be sadder. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because again, emotional torture.
What are some other ones?
I think the other main one that all Nuzlocks are supposed to follow, I guess it kind of depends, but if you lose all 6 Pokemon in a fight, even if you have extra Pokemon that are still alive saved up in your box, it's too bad.
Yeah,
you lose.
if you white out, you're gone.
Your entire playthrough of that game is over, and you have to restart. which I thought was interesting to find out because I didn't know that was the case.
Yeah.
I thought like
You could go
as
back
long as you had one saved, just make sure you have one saved, and then worst comes to worst, you just go back and grind that Pokemon up to level 100 and let it sweep all of your opponents in the game. But no, if you wide out, you're done.
So there's some other rules too that most people follow, like you can't over level. So like you're not allowed to have any Pokemon in your party that is a higher level than the highest Pokemon in the next gym leader's party.
And if they do get higher leveled, you have to put them in storage until after you beat that gym leader.
Yep, but you are allowed to level up during the gym battle. Another one is like, and this is like one of the ways you can manipulate things too. I don't mean to go in too much detail, but like if you come across a Pokemon that you've already caught before, you don't have to catch that Pokemon. You can keep searching until you find a different one.
Right. Say I go into Route 1 and I find a Pikachu, which won't happen because games. But if I go in and find a Pikachu, catch it, and then I go into Route 2 and my first encounter is another Pikachu, I can kill that, and then whatever my next new encounter is on that route would be the actual Pokemon that I get. So
there's some other harder rules too, like playing on set mode, so you can't swap out Pokemon anytime you defeat an opponent's Pokemon.
One that I thought was really interesting was no healing items in battle.
Yeah, or like no attack buffs either. I've seen that a lot. Like X attack, X defend, you can't use any of those.
Yeah, those are brutal. Those are absolutely
it makes
brutal.
sense too, because otherwise, like, it's not too hard to have a Pokemon that knows Toxic, and then just, get your strong opponent Pokemon like badly injured, badly poisoned, and then just, full heal yourself like over and over and over. So I think it's to prevent things like that, to actually make it more skill based, but it makes it harder.
But again, I think those first 3 rules are the main ones, and then everything after that is kind of up to your own decision as you're playing for the most part. Like,
and that's the beauty of it, is that these are self-imposed rules. So if some of these rules are like, you know what, this is just too hard for me, I don't want to do it, just don't do it. The point is to make it more challenging and entertaining for you.
Like, for example, I use healing items in my run. I'm not using any attack boost items, but I am using healing items. But during battle, yeah. But with the precedence that like I can't just swap a Pokemon out and then heal them. Like if I'm healing a Pokemon, they have to be actively in the battle.
Okay.
So that way it's kind of in between. We're gonna go into this, but this is my first legitimate attempt at a Nuzlocke, so I'm still trying to kind of build up to that level.
Yeah.
And I'm following most of those rules, but we'll talk a little bit about what's a little bit different with mine. So, do you want to just go into that right now?
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm playing Pokemon Shield. And for anyone that's done a Nuzlocke before, I think you're probably laughing right now and saying of all the games that you wanted to Nuzlocke, you wanted to start with the absolute easiest. And you're gosh darn right I did. Pokemon Sword and Shield are notorious for being very, very easy. And also being some of the easiest games in the series to Nuzlocke because of how you can catch Pokemon in this game. You get access to an area called the Wild Area very early in the game, and the Pokemon have different levels throughout it, and so there will become times where you come across Pokemon that you're just straight up not strong enough to catch and the game won't let you. But for the most part, you can get a lot of Pokemon that are very, very good very, very quickly. And the quicker you can get a good team in Nuzlocke, the more likely you are to succeed. But I'm not very good at Pokemon apparently, because even with this being the easiest game, I lost. Let's see, I think I put like 2 hours in. That was about all the time that I had. So I'm still really early in the game.
Have you gotten your first gym?
I've gotten the first gym badge and I'm on my way to the second. And I think I've lost 4 Pokemon.
That's kind of a lot.
I've lost 4 Pokemon.
For pre-first gym?
4 Pokemon in the first gym.
So, okay, tell us how you decided to tackle the encounter situation, because anyone that's played Sword and Shield will know, obviously, the wild area. How do you determine what's your first, encounter? Can you just pick a Pokemon, run up to it, or?
Yeah, so again, this is my first Nuzlocke, so I decided to kind of adjust a little bit from what I see most people do with Sword and Shield Nuzlocks. When I go into an area in the wild area, the patch of grass that is closest to me is the patch of grass that I have to have an encounter on. Now, with that, because you have Pokemon that you can see before you actually interact with them, I do choose, but it's not like I just walk around in the grass for hours and hours and hours. A lot of times you'll walk in and you'll see maybe 2 or 3 options, and so I just choose from one of those 3 what I go for.
So you just got to pick from who's there.
And I've also decided that if I go into an area where I don't have a gym level high enough to be able to catch the Pokemon, then that doesn't count as my encounter for the area, and I can come back to that later when I'm actually allowed to catch those Pokemon and have my encounter then.
Oh, because the levels are too high?
Yeah, because in Sword and Shield, like for example, I came across a Pokemon that was 26, I think, and you have to beat the first gym in order to catch Pokemon level 25 or below.
Yeah, you're forced to go through areas that are, multiple areas.
Yeah.
As you get there. So.
And so I came across a Pokemon and worked really, really hard. I had forgotten that this was a thing. And so I worked really, really hard, got him paralyzed and got him down into the red and tried to catch it. It was like, oh, this Pokemon's too strong. You can't catch it. And so I was like, okay, I guess that's it. I lost a Pokemon over trying to catch that one. No. So.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
But here's the problem. Maybe it's because I'm still so early in the game. And maybe it's because I've already lost 4. But I'm not sad when they die. I've only had 1 hard death so far. Out of the 4, there was only one where I was like...
Starter?
No, I still haven't started. I was just like, oh man, I was really looking forward to using him. It's that electric dog, because I used him in my first playthrough of Shield.
Is that his name?
Yeah, that's the lower evolution. Yeah, that's his first state. That's where we're at, and I really liked him. And then he was gone.
Cute. Wow, that's well, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Is that the game you're focused on for a while?
I don't know. It's pretty easy to pick up and play in short bursts.
Yeah.
And because of how I want to play Celeste, which is another game that we'll talk about eventually, I just need time to sit down and make it through a level in 100% a level, which I am not skilled enough to do in the amount of time that I have to play games.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. It might be just because it'll be the easiest to do that with.
Makes sense.
And it'll be the least tempting to I don't want to start playing a game and then become so engrossed that I shirk off other duties that I need to do.
Right.
And with this game, compared to all the other ones I'm playing right now, it's probably the most likely to not make me do that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, that makes sense.
But enough about me. Oh wait, did you have
a question? I was just going to say, I do think that the reason why you're not too sad is just because it's early in the game, I think. Yeah. If you have a Pokemon that you've beaten 2 gyms with,
and then
and you've got a good moveset on him and everything, and then that Pokemon dies, you're going to be heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be sad. But enough about me.
Yeah.
You've also done Nuzlocke before.
I have done 2 Nuzlocks. One is still technically ongoing, but incomplete. I haven't really dedicated a ton of time to it because I'm playing with somebody. But the other one that actually started and finished, let me tell you about that one. So I started this one with one of our listeners, Jonah, and we decided to do a soul link. So A Soul Link Nuzlocke is where you're both playing pretty much like concurrently. You initially want to do this. You want to be playing in the same room so you can coordinate. But, let's say we first get to Route 1 and we both encounter Pokemon. Whatever first Pokemon it is that we catch, the souls of those two Pokemon are linked. As in, if one of us screws up and gets that one killed, then the other person, the other Pokemon, and the other game is also dead.
It's brutal.
So it just makes it way, way brutal overboard. And you can't have duplicate Pokemon. You can't have... There's a couple other different rules.
You can't have the same on your team. You have to play with different Pokemon.
I don't think you can.
What?
Yeah. I might be wrong about that.
So how do you do that in those first areas where, like, say you're doing it with the original games, your first encounter is almost guaranteed to be a Pidgey or a Caterpie. Like, what do you do?
I remember we didn't even have to worry about that because we were playing a randomized ROM hack. So we never had any duplicates.
You randomized it?
We randomized Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Dude.
So chaos all around. So randomized just means that every Pokemon encounter you have is random. So your starters, your 3 starters, they're all random. You could have a legendary, you could have absolute garbage.
Those hours and hours that game coders put in to designing this game to give you Pokemon that are good and bad at the same rate. Nope, screw it.
Out the door.
Screw it. 5 legendaries in a row. Legendary only run.
It could happen.
Oh man,
I remember
you guys had randomized it.
My starter was Kingdra, which is really good. Also one of my favorite Pokemon. I can't remember what Jonah's starter was, but the thing with randomized runs is that you never know when you're gonna come across trouble, so you can't really plan for anything. You could get completely wiped by some bug catcher boy in the first forest, and you might just completely wipe the floor with the 8th gym leader, because they might have Caterpie or something. But anyway, I remember, I think I was the first to go down. It was this, I think we defeated the first gym leader, maybe the second two, I can't remember. But I came across this one random trainer. He had this Camerupt that was like 10 levels over my entire team.
Oh no.
And I got wiped out. Completely wiped out. And I was like, Jonah, oh no. Oh no.
I had Camerupt?
Camerupt!
Like the fire camel thing, right?
Yeah. The evolved version. Not Numel, but Camerupt. The evolved one.
Okay. And you guys were 10 level under leveled?
At least. He was like...
Oh, shoot.
Jonah, tell me if you remember what his level was, but he was like a level 30 or 40 or something, and I only had like 20 something. I can't remember.
Wait, this was in Heart Gold Soul Silver?
Yeah.
You guys probably went the wrong direction. Because you reach a point in that game
I went
really
down.
early on where you have an option between 2 paths to go, and for the next 3 gyms, like, the Pokemon are pretty similarly leveled, but that game is notorious for having like Pokemon trainers along certain routes that make it like, oh, you should go the other way first. We're a little bit too strong for you guys.
Are you kidding?
So
I probably just went the wrong way and got destroyed for no good reason.
Oh no.
Yeah. So our run was dead. It was dead. And
that's too bad. What was the hardest death? What was the saddest Pokemon you had to let go of? Your Kingdra?
Kingdra, no doubt. I mean, Kingdra was the Pokemon that had the highest chance of survival against this thing. But
yeah, I mean, a water dragon type. That's type 4 that's 4 times the resistance to fire.
To fire, but not resistant.
He hit you with ground stuff.
I think so.
That would do it. That would do it, actually. Dang, dude.
Even if he only had fire types, I would have really struggled.
Dang.
Like, yeah.
Does it still hurt thinking about it a little bit?
It does, because that was a really cool run, especially because it was randomized. It was kind of exciting. It was like playing a brand new Pokemon game. But yeah, it was heartbreaking. And Jonah and I started another run, but we're busy working on co-op Ocarina of Time right now, so it's been on the back burner. But anyway.
And so that second round with Jonah is that one that you were talking about that's still ongoing?
Yeah,
right? Okay.
that one's actually Sword and Shield. And
really?
Yeah, we're doing Sword and Shield. And the encounter rule, we're doing something similar to what you're doing, except a lot more lenient. So like, you pull up the map, and in the wild area you've got like designated spots, right? And they're all named. So you can only catch one Pokemon out of each
area.
Named area. But we also decided to... No, yeah, that's right. But you can either do a random encounter, and if it's a random encounter, you have to just follow the regular rules and catch whatever you get first. But anything you see in the open is fair game. So you can even look around, like we're just following the rule of if you actually encounter it, that's the one you got to get. But so if you can see it in the overworld, you can catch whatever you want. And we made it more relaxed this time, just because the last one was so brutal and we'd like to get through a game. And this is also still a soul link. So we're still soul linking our Pokemon. And by the way, if any of you want to do it, an easy way to do it is, well, this is how you're supposed to do it. You name your Pokemon, the soul linked Pokemon, just the same name. So you can keep track of who's connected to who.
And just to throw out there, the reason I decided to do a Nuzlocke was I just came across some YouTube videos all about Nuzlockes. And one of the first ones that I saw when they were talking about their soul link, they would like say they had a Bulbasaur and what's another Pokemon?
Charmander?
And a Charmander, sure. Like it was Charbasaur was what they named their Pokemon. So you just move the Pokemon names together.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute. Just a suggestion in case you suck at coming up with names like I do on the run I'm going through right now.
Our naming scheme, it's all been nuts. So like
Peanut,
or cashew, all that. Yeah, they're
nuts.
all named after nuts.
There you go. There you go.
Pretty good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our episode for you tonight. Yes, we are going to end on nuts. So we love you. We thank you for listening to us. And we want to give a special shout out to our #1 Patreon, Joshua. Thank you so much for your support.
You are the man.
You're the best.
Thanks so much. And if you would like to support us on Patreon and get special perks, like the main one is our exclusive episodes. There's one already up right now.
It's really good. You will learn something that I think none of you would have expected to learn from this episode. So go give it a check.
Yes.
It's nice.
About me, personally. Check out our Patreon. That is in the link the link is in the description of this episode, along with our social media stuff, so you can reach out to us. Please send us your comments, thoughts, just like Lily and Noah did.
Big Bear.
And Big Bear.
We love you, Big Bear.
We love you.
I really want to know who you are, if you feel comfortable telling us, or if you want to keep it a mystery and keep us guessing. I'm good for whatever, but
yeah,
I hope we keep hearing from you, Big Bear.
Like, if you ever email us, just don't tell us your actual name. Just
make a new email. Just call it bigbear@gmail.com. We'll never see it coming.
That'd be funny. Yes, thank you. Leave us reviews and tell your friends and family about us. If you are a corporation and would like to sponsor us, please let us know. Reach out to us via email.
We love you guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace out.